I am rich, but never seen. I am primarily white, yet full of green screen. Who am I? If you guessed the gods of Egypt, you're right. We saw it, and you know what that means.
Now it's time for How Did This Get Made? We're gonna have a good time, celebrate some failure, not just being a hater, cause we really wonder how did this get made? Let's wallow in the mediocrity of subpar art. Perhaps we'll find the answer to the question, how did this get made?
Hello, people of Earth, and welcome to How Did This Get Made? That is Vander Talens with his real band recording our theme song. Give it up for Vander Talens.
That's his real band? Not his fake band?
Well, you know, look, Vander travels with a bunch of different people. It's like, kind of like the E Street Band. It kind of comes and goes. I'm joined, as always, by Jason Mantzoukas. How are you, Jason?
I'm good, Paul. How are you?
I am very good. I am days away from having a child, which explains why.
You look great.
Thank you.
You look
Thank
great.
you. I feel good.
You're carrying it beautifully.
Been drinking, smoking.
Yeah,
it's fine.
get
It
it
doesn't
done.
affect anything.
Nope. Yep.
But it does explain why our second co-host is not here. June Diane Raphael. She is on maternity leave.
Yep.
And so that's that. And after this episode, we're going to go on a brief 2 to 3 week maternity leave. So Jason, you can just stay here childless.
I'll be here, no kids, alone, crying in the studio, talking to whoever wants to talk to me about whatever bad movies they've seen.
But we have a very special show today. Not one guest, but two guests from one of my favorite podcasts. If you've not listened to it, you got to check it out. Please welcome Bryan Safi and Erin Gibson.
Yay! Thanks.
Hooray.
What an intro.
Yeah, I'm very
Jason,
excited to have you guys.
What's up?
do you have anything to say about our podcast?
I love your podcast.
But let's get into Gods of Egypt.
Ooh, I need to apologize.
This was a Jason Mantzoukas recommendation.
This was a Jason Mantzoukas recommendation because I caught part of it on HBO recently and was like, oh, we should do this. And then when I went to watch it, I realized I had watched part of Exodus, Gods and Kings, the Ridley Scott movie that is also a nonsensical all white people in an environment in which everybody would not be white.
Well, this is an interesting point. Well, I think we stumbled upon something beautiful here.
Oh, yes. This was, when I started watching this, I was like, wait a minute, I thought Christian Bale was, and then I was like, oh no, this is terrible.
Well, in case you haven't seen the movie, take everything you know about Egyptian mythology and forget it completely. Because I think the only thing that you need to know is that maybe Egypt exists. So they don't even really get the pyramids. There's really very little.
There's a Sphinx.
Yeah, there's a Sphinx. Oh, yeah, that's good. And anyway, it's about two brothers, one good, one bad. The bad one, Set, that's right, Set, tries to take over the world. And the good one with one eye, Horus, tries to stop it
That's
with
his nephew. I'm already going to correct you.
Okay, sorry, his nephew
boy.
tries to stop it with a mortal who is waiting who's just wanting to bring back his dead girlfriend. That's basically, I mean,
Sort of.
There are so many boring subplots.
Yeah,
Very
That
boring.
have no like, it was literally like first draft on mescaline.
It was also so many meet cutes.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there was so many times where everyone was flirting, even when the dialogue, even when no one else was around, it was like a flirty.
And everybody's constantly running into each other. Like, we're talking like an expanse of land that is enormous with millions of people, plus the underworld.
Yes.
Like, and everybody's constantly like, oh, you're here too. Oh, look at this. Isn't this wild we're running into each other here?
50% of this movie is people walking into things and seeing people, and then other 50% is things that they've walked into falling down.
Yes, all of which is green screen.
Oh.
Like, this is a movie that like must have been just shot in a green screen prison for these people.
I called this movie like a platform movie because it's like all they had was a platform. It's like, all right, you're all on this. Yeah. Don't worry. And then there's the skies exploding. And
it was all just like so smooth and shiny. It just felt like Scottsdale, like just like really like upper class shishi like desert. It was.
I would love to set this entire movie in Scottsdale. Gods of Scottsdale. Everything's the same. We haven't yet talked about the fact that the gods are 25 feet tall and the mortals are not. And that's is a real thing that happens through the whole movie.
Yeah.
Jamie Lannister is 25 feet tall, and the human guy he's running around with the whole time is a normal dude. Or a normal Hollywood actor, so probably 5'1".
Yeah, it's opposite Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
That was jarring.
And it also never works.
Never
like
looked
the
good.
giant person with this. It never has looked good in any movie.
I wanted
No,
some
I don't
more
like
POV shots of just like how, like looking down on the, like,
It must have made shooting it very difficult.
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean,
No, remember, you got to look down when you talk to him. You down further. Your eye line is way down here.
and this guy only had one eye, so it's
Yeah.
even harder. All right, so I want to just ask a general question, because this is when I started watching this, is like, are you ever excited to see a movie like this, like an Egyptian?
Always.
Really?
And I have to be honest with you, always. I think I saw Exodus Gods.
Yes.
I love biblical epics.
Okay.
I'm not a
Interesting.
religious person
Yeah.
at all, but I love the Ten Commandments. I love Ben-Hur. I saw Exodus.
What
It was
do you
terrible.
like about them?
I think just the scale, just the absurd, the dialogue never matches the scale of
Yeah.
what they're
Right.
doing. It's always so pedestrian and
or like modern, like. There was one moment where the tiny man was like, whoa, calm down, everybody. I was like, no one's ever said that in Egypt.
yeah. Ancient Egypt.
Ancient Egypt.
Well, the first scene where our mortal, meets up with his girlfriend, I'm like, wait, what? It took me by surprise because it was so jarring how casual they were.
I know.
Very
it was.
casual.
You could have just replaced the scenery and put this in like a regular like rom-com and about
completely
fine.
The first 10 minutes of this movie is shocking. Like, I mean, because it really.
I stopped it like 3 times. Wait, I gotta rewind it. Did I miss
Yeah.
it? I don't.
Because the dialogue's so cute, and Gerard, but no one's accents match at
No.
all.
Not at all.
Can we
And-
just? I want to play Gerard Butler's accent because Gerard Butler is like, I'm not changing the fact that I'm Scottish.
Yeah.
By the way, I won't do that.
But even his own accent is inconsistent throughout the movie. His real voice is inconsistent.
Doesn't match anything.
Check out. This is Gerard Butler's accent.
Wait! Sorry I'm late. 3 days to cross the desert, and nearly one more to pass through all your admirers.
Set.
Brother, good to see you.
And you,
This
brother.
is.
There's always a place for you here.
Such a big day for the family.
This is in front of. This is in front of millions
Look
of
at you,
people.
nephew.
They're on a stage in front of millions of people at a king's coronation ceremony.
I'm not, this opening line. Wait, sorry I'm late.
Sorry I'm late.
It was like that show, Thank God You're Here.
Yeah.
You remember that horrible improv? It was like,
Yes.
felt like that.
He's like, hey guys, my bad.
But also, they're speaking in a voice even lighter than what we're speaking
So
in.
casual.
And the audience all heard that joke.
Died laughing.
Yeah, they were like,
Killed it.
So are gods just naturally amplified because they're presenting, but they're not even. They're just like, all right, so we're gonna coronate the king today. And they're like,
Yeah.
Like, there's no yelling. There's no pomp and circumstance. And they're in a field bigger than like Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
talking
They're-
at a normal volume.
They're about to put the crown on Jamie Lannister's head, and Gerard Butler shows up, as we just heard. And they then proceed to have an intimate 4-person conversation on the dais or whatever they are on in front of millions of people who are just rapt, watching them undergo like family drama, basically.
It would be like if you went to go see like if you went to go see Hamilton,
Yeah.
and then like Lin-Manuel's like mom came on stage and was like, "Hey, baby, you forgot your sandwich." It was like that level.
The show's going great tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Mom. You know,
It really.
And then everyone in the audience is like, "Ooh."
everyone was still as invested as
No one
they
has
were in
any
Hamilton.
questions.
No.
It was such a strange choice for the director to be like, so at this coronation, we're going to be at our most casual.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like we're just.
This is you just came in. It's like you're grabbing a snack from the kitchen. It really that scene, and again, it's these first couple of scenes that you're like, all right, what is going? Like, I
And so
can't get the tone.
They're setting up nothing except for the fact that everyone's related. So when Gerard Butler turns on his brother, which, as you can see from the beginning, the confusing family tree that happens when you're like, wait, who's related
Everybody's
to who?
ages were wrong because Gerard Butler's brother is played by Bryan Brown.
Yes.
Who is a much, much older actor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Gerard Butler is the uncle of Jamie Lannister.
And they're the same age.
They appear to me to be the same age.
Yeah.
And
I kept
Geoffrey
having to
Rush
yeah.
is the
grandfather?
grandfather, who I believe is the same age as Bryan Brown.
100%.
I
And
was like,
is-
what's doing here?
Is Geoffrey Rush Zeus?
No, he's Ra.
Ra.
He's the
Oh,
sun
sorry,
god.
yeah, okay.
I mean, I wish it
But
was
was
Zeus.
he
Then we'd
called-
have a Greek pantheon of
Yeah.
gods come down and kick these gods' ass.
It's true.
That's what I'm talking about.
Man, can your gods turn into battle armor?
Can they turn into like Iron Man with animal heads? No, Greek gods can't do that because
Or-
that's ludicrous.
This is skipping ahead, but there was a literal Iron Man moment.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah, I would have rather watched them stop the film, put in that scene from Iron Man, then start the film again.
Yep.
Because when he does do that thing, he's like dipped into boiling hot lava.
Yep.
And they're putting in pieces. But this is the thing I was so confused by, and this will kind of run throughout the whole movie. Are these Egyptian gods? Pieces can be taken out like Legos.
Well, that's the
like
thing.
it's
They
no
plop,
big deal. Yeah.
plop, plop. It's
So
like-
rip 'em
at
out.
the end of the coronation, Gerard Butler pulls Jamie Lannister's eyes out,
Mm-hmm.
and the eyes come out like they're from a car,
Yeah.
spark plugs. They come out like they're blue glowing spark plugs, like they unscrew.
And meanwhile, his eyes.
Because later he gets them and just pops them back in like screw. Uh-oh, my eyes work again.
And also, you would think that maybe they would do something to his eyes when they were in, because there are these blue glowing orbs. But no, just totally normal eyes. There's nothing
Yep.
even special about anything.
Well, no, he has
Nothing.
special eyes because he can see. You remember when you see his point of view, he can
yes.
like zoom in on things.
He's got eagle eyes.
He's
Which
got, like-
didn't happen. And
Yeah.
It happened like twice.
I know.
And we were supposed to get that
And
that's-
far enough away where you forgot that was a thing he could do.
Correct.
Yes.
Also, this is skipping before, but I think the opening line of the movie is something like.
Get
in that
ready,
VO
this is gonna suck.
Is like, yeah. It was like, let me see how much of this I can recall. Literally. And it was like, what?
Wait,
don't
Because
you
the
know?
narrator is the
So-
mortal as an old man,
Yes.
right?
Was it Jeremy
Totally different
Irons? It
accent.
sounded like Jeremy Irons.
Yes.
Oh, I hope it
And
is.
the mortal did not.
No, we can play a little bit of that opening just to hear the opening VO, because it is pretty great to be like,
If you know the whole story, from what I recall,
Oh,
it
boy.
goes something like this.
You don't know.
Before history began, Egypt was
there.
the birthplace of all life.
That's not true.
Paradise worthy of the gods who created it.
So not only are they
Man.
doing this, what they're doing here is
There's no
saying,
mistaking the
again,
gods.
everything you know about like mythology in Egypt, you got to forget that, because we're going to do something different. And also, I don't even know if I know exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Like, so it's two frames of being confused. It's like
So confusing.
this, you have no frame of reference for it, and I'm not a reliable narrator.
And then the mortal guy really, I mean, it really just was like it was like watching a real life version of Aladdin. Like it was that annoying and just like stealing, robbing, asides. He drove me a little crazy.
Watch me do a cartwheel.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know.
He's
His
a
hair
real-
really bothered me.
I didn't like his hair. at
No.
all. I didn't like his hair. I felt like
It looked like a pre-Revolutionary War like judge's wig.
It was sort of like in
But
the
like,
Patriot.
but like
yeah.
not, yeah. Like I kept wanting to see a small ponytail nape of his neck, but it never showed up.
You know what's interesting? The guy that does the voice of older
Yes.
Beck. Also, the main mortal's name is like the least Egyptian. His name is Beck, and he looks just like a white, handsome guy. He couldn't. It's basically like we want to do a movie that's set in ancient Egypt, starring like a waspy British guy whose name is Beck. Like, this is nonsense. Anyway, the guy, Beck is 26, and the guy that does that ancient
Yeah.
voice is 30.
That's
amazing.
it is amazing.
I had to look up because the whole movie I didn't really understand anyone's names, and so for the entire movie I thought that Gerard Butler's name was Seth.
Oh, yeah. Well, what is it? Seth.
It's
Seth.
Seth,
Yeah, Seth.
but-
So it's, I mean, I
But
get that.
when I was like, but it's much funnier.
Funnier
if
to
his
be
name is
Seth.
Seth.
Yeah.
Do you know what drove me crazy?
That's like Kevin Lannister on Game of Thrones. The Tywin Lannister's brother is named Kevin. Oh, and here's Kevin Wait, what?
What?
We've got Tywin, Tyrion, all these great names, and then Kev, get over here, Kev. Sorry, Brian. Go ahead. I interrupted
No,
you.
what drove me, one moment that really got under my skin, because I was just like, what a great opportunity. Did anyone understand what the Sphinx was saying?
Oh, no.
I had to rewind
I
that,
pulled
like,
this clip too.
I was so excited for that riddle, and it was unintelligible.
It was the only part of the movie that I really agree. I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. Like, I understand that this is a thing, and they got to get the smart guy.
Problem solving. I can get on. I understand
Totally.
plot wise why
Yes.
this can happen.
Yeah.
Great.
This is the Sphinx, and you can hear it. And I wrote down what it was because I did Google it. Here we go. This is the Sphinx in the movie.
Sparkles announced the king. Also my ring.
Okay, just stop right there. Stop
And
right
put
there for
your
a second.
motion in the
Okay,
basket.
what?
Basically.
Yeah.
Like from the get go, nothing makes sense.
It's so much reverb. It's worse than Bane.
Yes.
It's like, I'm like, well, this is arguably the only part of the movie that
The
you would want to
only.
hear.
I
The
know.
only
and, it's,
thing.
and it's the riddle of the Sphinx. This is like, oh, okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sparkles announced the king. Also my ring. Oh, cease to be.
Go on. I'm waiting.
I never was. Am always to be. No one ever saw me, nor ever will. And yet I am the confidence of all who live and breathe. What?
Order.
And by the way, this is where this movie kind of sucks ass too, because he asked that question, and you can actually hear it a little bit better when you've isolated all the images, because the majority of this movie also is just snake-like creatures.
Yes.
Like, someone was like, hey, can you design some creatures? Yeah, they can all be snake-like.
As long as they can all slither.
Yeah, everything. The Sphinx was slithery. They had like guys riding on giant dune snakes. They
I
had
loved those.
Oh, those were pretty cool.
loved
I
those.
like
Oh,
that
yeah.
sequence.
Was that lady from Diane Ward?
Oh my gosh,
I don't think so.
wonder-
I don't think it is, but I
It's
just
not.
No.
Okay.
They were in Chappie, though. The Diane Ward people.
Oh,
Okay.
They were in Chappie.
Good. That's what I needed. I needed to know they were in something.
They're don't you worry, they're out there.
Are you talking about Yaya?
Ninja and Ninja.
They had
and,
names?
Oh yeah, the
Well-
Diane Ward people. Of
No.
course.
I'm sorry.
In this
the
movie,
snake ladies.
I believe it was Yaya Ding as Annette and Abby Lee as
Annette?
Annette. Oh,
Anat.
and Anat.
Okay,
and then
Astarte.
Astarte.
I loved that scene. I loved the snakes. I thought that was great.
That was my favorite sequence of the movie, and I think I was just always confused about where we were at. Like I was even
never-
confused, like when I was like,
It's
are
a
we
mo-
in the underworld? Are we not
It's
in
a
the
movie
underworld?
in which people are constantly going from place to place. I don't have any understanding of where and why.
No.
Oftentimes they don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of times characters are saying, why are we here?
Yeah.
Why are we here? Oh, we got to talk to Ra. Okay. How are we doing that? Bing, bang, boom. Now we're at Ra.
And also, every scene felt cut so short that
Yes.
they just sliced it in half, and you were always
And
in a
it's
new place.
still 2 hours.
It's a 126-minute movie. It's like, and that's the other thing too. Like at the end, they're like, "Well, let's go back to the Capitol." Oh, you had that ability to like just traverse from the underworld to back to the real world. Like,
And when the girlfriend just leaves the location when she's about to be killed, and I'm like, you could have done this the entire time.
It's so stupid. But by the way, I wrote two lines down that I think illustrate similar points of like, there was what you were saying earlier about the voiceover where you're like, why are...
They're like, we don't give a shit. Why should you?
There was one where Jamie Lannister said to John Bon Jovi, which is what I'm calling the immortal, because there was like weird oh, this is going to be a funny scene, orchestral music. Like, oh, we're about to say something funny, so we're going to show you with this Looney Tunes thing. There was a moment where Jamie Lannister said, "Do you think I'd put any effort in trying to amuse you?" Which I was like, well, this whole film doesn't understand the irony in that. And then there's another one where it was like, why are we here? Why haven't you figured this out? It was, next time run towards their weak spot. This is about the snakes. And then Bon Jovi says, how do you know they have a weak spot? And then Jamie Lannister says, I don't know, but they must, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is not happening in real time.
Yeah.
This is a script. You can figure this out.
Why can't he know?
Yeah.
Why can't he know that they have a weak
Well,
spot
this-
in order to defeat them?
And why didn't you know
And
what
save
running
everyone
was?
time.
Yeah.
by the way,
Running?
this is also my irritation with this whole movie is like you set up these things that should be like they get the philosopher, right? That guy Toth, who I liked, Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah,
By the
no,
way,
great.
that's Chadwick
Lettuce Man?
Boseman.
Yeah.
I can't.
That's Black Panther.
It
Yeah.
was shocking. Yeah.
And he comes in, and they set him up. He's contemplating a head of lettuce, and then they bring him there, and he doesn't figure out the fucking clue. The mortal does, and I felt like that was like a weird undercutting. Like we got to get this character. This character's so important. We got to get him.
Also,
Nah,
do
he
you
doesn't know
get
it.
3 guesses?
Yeah, that was the another.
Are you allowed 3 guesses?
That also drove me crazy.
I was like, I don't know maybe that is part of the rule of the riddle of the Sphinx that I'm just not knowing. But like, he
seems very
immediately is
lenient.
like, he gives his answer and he's like, wrong. And he smacks
Keep
Jamie
guessing.
Lannister once, and then they're like, "Oh, wait a minute. Well, let me try again. Wait, what?
You could just
Is
stay
that
there
allowed?
forever. Yeah, that drove me
If
crazy.
you think about what happened in the first 30 minutes, first hour.
Oh, we still haven't even talked about the architect.
Oh,
was
the architect.
fantastic.
I love that guy.
Me too.
Didn't you, is this unfair to say, as shitty as this movie was, I respected every single person in there because I thought they did a great job for the bullshit that they had to do.
Everyone was in. Like everyone was like, I am here. I am committing. Like Gerard Butler. Like I know he didn't do anything with that accent, and sometimes it didn't match. But I was like, fuck, man. He's like ready. He's like, I'm gonna do bad guy.
Totally.
Yeah.
This is where I will say, like, I believe this to be true. A cast of Americans could not make this movie.
Oh,
No.
There's simply something about these are like, this is controversial, I know. People are going to write in and be like, no, that's not true. Here's this person and that person. But this is a movie in which everybody in it is like men.
Right.
Grown men, fighting and for honor and the hierarchy of all this stuff. And for some reason, we just associate that with whether it's like British people or whether it, I guess, Jamie Lannister's Danish? What is
Yeah, or like Australia, like the Hemsworths,
Yes.
whatever.
Great. And then they're all men, but there's something about those accents, there's something about this that I'm like, I get what this is.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know if you could cast Americans in all these roles and have it land right.
Well, you
Probably
give it
not.
gives it that like for whatever it is, that weird bullshit realness. It's like the same way you're saying that guy is like just a few years older than the 26-year-old doing the voiceover. It's like he sounds like he's lived a life. That sounded to me like Jeremy Irons. Like, let me tell you the story. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm just 32 years old. I'm 32, and I'm like, I just got a new iPhone, and then I programmed it.
The thing that is still that is, I mean, we talked about it at the beginning, but that is so shocking in these epics still, especially like set in Egypt, that has not changed since like Cecil B. DeMille did the 10 Commandments, is the full-blown whitewashing of every single character except for Chadwick Boseman
and slaves.
I mean, and Chadwick Boseman is kind of playing again like
wise, the magical.
We got to talk to this guy. He knows more than us. Which is also a stereotypical kind of Legend of Bagger Vance-esque
like
character.
the wise black man.
Yeah,
I feel like Chadwick Boseman in this movie, to me, was what I imagined Gina Gershon was like for Showgirls, in that like she was like, I get what this is, so let's have fun.
I think
like he was
Jeffrey
doing
Rush,
a crazy accent. Jeffrey
Rush killed it. Like I pulled a clip of him, Jeffrey Rush doing him just talking about
Jeffrey Rush now, I believe, only does movies in which he has to undergo a lot of prosthetics. Because isn't he Pirates of the Caribbean?
Oh yeah.
You know, like I feel like that's what he does now.
I think he's like, if I'm gonna be on a movie like on this level, cover me up. As much as I can get on my face. So you can't. Is it Jeffrey Rush? I'm not sure. He's like,
They all played by that rule, which was, I think, really smart. If you're lazy, of like, for the fight scenes, can we just transform into something where you don't need us? Fully happened.
Absolutely.
And then like the movie even ends on the most irritating thing is like, obviously the good guy wins, and he's like
the good guy being Jamie Lannister and Baby Bon Jovi.
Yeah, Baby Bon Jovi. And then he was like, hey, you watch Egypt for a while. And then it's just like,
I'm going to go fuck my girlfriend. Where is she?
I'm going to go find her. She's in the underworld.
This is how Geoffrey Rush can kind of just kill it right when he gets on stage with even a weird line. Here we go.
Hail thou, great god Ra.
Normally when a bird lands on my boat, I kill it before it can shit. What is this? You dare bring a mortal to the source of creation?
He's valuable to me. I could not leave him behind.
I think he's great. Like I feel like he's like delivering that line, and I feel like
so good.
I wanted more Spaceboat Geoffrey Rush. I like Spaceboat Geoffrey Rush
again,
or Space Raft. I should
what
say.
is that?
What is that? What's the worm?
Yep.
Oh, the worm is
What is
like
that thing?
I thought at first. This is my.
Is it the worm from Dune?
I think so. The worm from Beetlejuice definitely auditioned for this because I read about that. But
that worm gets work.
Oh, he's a great worm.
Oh,
He
yeah.
is.
And
He's
he's not like that
Golden
worm from
Globe,
Tremors.
no.
The Tremors worm pushes it.
Yeah.
And this
Like,
worm
too
is
big.
always
That's
just
the
do it.
back and me of worms.
There is
Yeah.
something about a monster with with rows of teeth that is totally fascinating.
Oh, I
and
like
effective.
that.
Yeah.
Well, to me, this is what I thought, and then I realized I was wrong. But I will share with you my bad idea. So he is the god of the sun, right? And I
Yeah.
thought every day he battles with the night, and that was the night. And the night beats him. And then it's night, and then he beats it back, and it's the morning. So it's this constant battle. But then I just found out it's chaos, like the
Right.
snake of chaos.
Yeah.
God, that would have been good if they had gone with that.
I would have
it
liked
does-
that idea, like that
But
every
you're
night.
not wrong because it does fight during the night. He's like, he has to keep the worm at bay at night.
When it's the strongest.
I think when it's trying to attack, I think.
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm also confused about the powers in this world because they always are saying they can't bring anyone back from the dead, but yet in this movie,
Constant.
everyone's being brought back from
Everyone.
the dead.
And
Geoffrey Rush is killed in space, and he's like, "Hey, wake up!" And he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
what? What
Yeah.
happened?
What are we doing? Are we ready to go?
I also had an issue with the fact that I was angry about the fact that that gods got to decide what your afterlife was.
Oh, yeah.
That was just at the whim whoever was ruling. That drove me nuts.
Well, when the girlfriend goes to the Underworld, you see this gigantic line, and then all of a sudden she's at the front of it. I'm like, she made really good time in the Underworld. Like she
'Cause
really.
they also said
looked
it was
like-
going to take like 7 days to walk to
Yeah.
like the scales of whatever, the afterlife.
Another boat, it looked like to me.
So many
Yeah.
boats.
I
so many
liked
books.
those. I liked the Underworld decision-making scene. I thought that was cool.
I liked when they went to the Underworld. I also liked that the guy running the St. Peter of the Underworld, like who decided was like when shit went down. He's like, oh hey, hold on, whoa, the Underworld's closing. Guys, back up! Don't walk into this shit. Okay. I got he became like a real frustrated just manager of like a Best Buy, like
Middle manager.
All right, everybody, calm down.
We're going to
calm
get
down.
this sussed out. Our computers are down right now, so we're not going to be able to decide who goes to heaven or who goes to hell.
I can only take cash, no credit cards. The machines are down.
Your gold is worthless.
I know what I was going to say. So at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, no one cares. At the end of the movie, you don't know where you don't know where
Zaya.
Seth's girlfriend is.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
Zaya.
her. Yeah, no, that's not
Electra.
Zaya.
Yeah, Electra.
Electra from the Daredevil series.
You don't know where she is. And then I was reading online that they were. Was this Sony? Or
it
whoever
was-
did the
yes.
Hunger Games.
Okay.
Lionsgate.
Okay, so Lionsgate was like, this was at the same time. I guess they were producing it at the same time or something at the same time
Yeah.
as Hunger Games. And so they were setting this up as a new franchise that would be as successful as Hunger Games. So that's why that has a cliffhanger ending because they were setting it up to be a
To
whole.
be like more films.
Yeah.
That's so dumb because I don't think people are interested in these kinds of movies. Like none
Well,
of
that's
those
what I was gonna
epics
say.
I
make
feel
money.
They all fail
Yeah.
time and time again. Prince of Persia, Exodus of Gods and
yeah.
Kings, the new Ben Hur. I
Here's
just
my
saw a poster
question.
and I was like, bah.
I feel like these are movies that are made for international audiences.
100%.
But then again, this movie cost like
140 million.
and
What?
it made 145.
Yes.
all overseas.
But
But even if it's
domestically
overseas,
or that's added everything all,
no, it
all
made,
in.
like, it made like 30 million domestically.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It came out. We were talking
Yeah.
about this before. It came out a few months ago.
Yeah, it came out in
Theatrically,
2016.
Do you have
February
any recollection?
6th, February
What?
26th. This
I
is,
thought this movie was like 2 years old.
no, this came out like months ago.
Wide release.
I am shocked.
By the way, the Rotten Tomatoes score is 16%. It was, for a $140 million movie, that's exceptionally
This
low.
movie is, I really want to reiterate, this movie is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, the performances are good.
yeah.
That's what I admire.
Except for a few which I didn't care for. But like, I'm all in on Gerard Butler.
Same.
Yep.
I'm all in.
I
wish this guy
love-
would do better stuff
Me
because
too.
I find him interesting, compelling.
His characters are always well rounded. He does weird, idiosyncratic.
He can be funny.
Yeah.
He could beat Matthew McConaughey at the game of doing quality movies really well.
Yeah. I
It's-
think
he's like he could be to me. I'm like, oh, why isn't he having Russell Crowe's career?
Right.
Why is he doing this and not a Gladiator?
Yeah.
like something that is a swords and sandals movie, but is actually good.
But I think what it is he's a guy, like, he had his 300, right? Like, that was his big, boom, I'm here.
And he was so good.
But then I think he's made some good choices, but the movies haven't clicked, because I think Olympus Has Fallen is hands down one of my favorite like action
haven't
movies.
seen it.
It's so good. Like it's in that old
very fun.
80s
Great.
style. It's like there's like ripping out throats, but he's great.
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
like it's not like schlocky. It's and Morgan Freeman's in it, and like good people are in it.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's a fun-loving guy. He's like, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
Fucking do this. This will be fun. Like, and I think he may not be picking. I don't know.
No.
I mean, with Matthew McConaughey, the issue was, from my understanding, that the production company he was just saying like yes to all these rom-coms
Yeah.
and not really thinking about the movie, and was surrounding himself by people who were like, yeah, just make the money.
Yeah.
So it might be a situation where Gerard Butler's like
Save
surrounded
Gerard
by.
Butler.
Guys.
Please, we got to get him new
Get him-
reps.
Let's represent him.
we will get him some solid work.
Let's start a management company.
We need it's all called do a movie with Allison Janney. It'll fix everything.
Yeah.
Well, look, I'm looking at it.
Is that it? That's the
I just
Yeah.
feel like if you
That's
go
the project.
once the road to recovery begins with Allison Janney.
Yeah. 100%.
I do feel like this is an interesting thing too, and I feel like Sam Jackson falls into the same category, where like they asked him one time, like, why do you do all these movies? And because Sam Jackson's quality of work is
Oh, just like Michael Caine.
yes,
Right. Yeah.
but Sam Jackson said something that I feel like may be similar to him, which is he's like, oh, I want to be in the movies that I liked as a kid. So like he's just like, oh, giant shark movie, I'm in.
Yeah.
King Kong movie, you get it. Like, and I think he's
Sure.
just sort of like, I'm in on the simple premise of, fuck, cool, we're gonna blow up this city. And I feel like when you look at a lot of his stuff, he's working with cool people. Like, you know, it's like the guy who wrote Seven. All right, I'll be in the next movie that he does.
Yeah.
You know, the guys who did Crank, I'll be in their movie. I'll make a romantic comedy with Katherine Heigl at the height of Katherine Heigl being in romantic
Sure.
comedies.
Right.
Like, he's making all the right
Choices.
Jennifer Aniston, great.
Yep.
Like, again, it's like he's not like devaluing. It
No,
just is
no.
sort of like either gets there a day late or like no one cares.
Yeah.
Don't you
He
think-
does get there a day late.
Yeah, just like, oh,
if you had as much money as I assume Gerard Butler has, wouldn't there be a point where you're like, I want to start doing stuff that is actually
Unless you're just having a blast.
He may just not
Good.
realize it yet.
You don't
like
think so?
I will say sometimes you're making something and you're like, this may be bad or it may be great. I don't know.
Right.
I think it must be hard to know that when you're making this. He
Sure,
could have
no
thought this
one-
was going to be good.
I don't
And
think
he's got,
anyone
like,
works on a
Jamie
movie they
Lannister.
think is going to be bad.
It's-
I
it's
think
an-
everyone's like,
yeah.
oh, you know, it'll all come together, and it's
Yes.
we don't even, especially in a movie like this, because you're like, we don't even know what is going to be
Yeah,
here.
visually it's going to be amazing, and we've got Jamie Lannister, and we've got Geoffrey Rush, and we've got all these great actors. and-
One of the most surprising things about it is with that budget, and I honestly was like, well, this just must have been released overseas, not here, but that it was, and that they thought it would be a franchise operation. That the special effects were so terrible.
Oh, they
Really
were
bad.
shitty.
Awful. Like some of the worst I've seen.
And the sound design was like, oh, these two robot birds are fighting. Let's get two pots and pans.
Ching, 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 ching,
Yeah.
ching, 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 ching.
It was like someone was going
It
through
takes-
grandma's like.
But
It takes
brass
place in
stuff.
ancient Egypt, and it's as if every single thing is made of metal.
I
You know what I mean? Like it might as well take place in a future society
I
where
believe-
everything is metal.
no
Fully.
offense, but total offense to Zack Snyder because I think he set up this style
Yes.
of filmmaking.
Completely.
Like 300 was cool and different, and I've not seen anything using that style that has achieved anything as interesting.
was
as
it
that.
down to the old man VO. That
Yes.
was such a
Yeah.
300.
Yeah.
Like
It
down
was-
to all those elements. All
This
right.
was exactly the, and it just like that looked cool because it was sort of like you could tell like they didn't have enough money
Yeah.
to do it, and they did something cool and made it
Stylish
and- yeah,
and-
but when you have $140 million,
Yeah.
it just feels.
Well, here
like
was the thing
so
too.
bloated.
Yeah.
They had $140 million, but looking at this movie, you have to say, like, it's not like they chose their spots to make to do like CGI animation here, or like, here's this one battle we're gonna do. All of the movie is always computer generated.
So when you get something
All
like
of
the
it,
snakes, you're like, well, I've already seen 17 of these things by the time you get to the snakes. So
And the
even
snakes
as
have
impressive,
no weight in the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everything, even though the snakes look cool, like when you put snakes in a world in which the ground is CGI, the snakes are CGI, the background is CGI, everything is
Yeah.
green screen.
And
Yeah.
no one
Then
seems-
you're like, I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know what's
Scottsdale.
going on.
Yeah.
and no one and you're right, and no one seems to care about like it does. Nothing seems like ooh,
Yeah.
just like
Because
here's-
when literally anything can happen, like nothing is surprising
Yeah.
or carries any weight.
There's no stakes because everything you can because nothing. There's no stakes because nothing feels real. Like when Baby John Bon Jovi breaks into Gerard Butler's house or whatever to steal Jamie
An
Lannister's eye. There's like what could be a cool like you have to pass like Indiana Jones style
Yes.
a bunch of traps. You know, it's a
Yes.
whole sequence, 3 different bridges of traps that he has to outsmart. And it's as if this kid might as well be Spider-Man. He has superpowers where he is able to like gymnastically jump and bounce and
There's
this
no
and that.
tension even.
And none of it was real.
Doesn't even try to make it look hard. Like
Not at all.
Just jumps through those things.
He is almost killed in almost every scene of the movie and never is ever
Nervous.
like nervous, never breaks a sweat, never is like, whoa, that was tough.
He lives in a world where buildings are constantly falling down. So again, he is like
And being built. And being built. Set builds a tower that is higher than any other tower, I think within like a year. Or less.
It was a year. It was a year, and it was already pretty high up.
In this world, if you're a 9-foot god and you have infinite powers,
Oh no,
that
they're like
one-
25 feet tall.
My point, exactly. Like, why would you then have mortal slaves building your shit?
Oh, because they are like
you could do it in
ants.
5 seconds.
Oh no, they're not
No?
going to do it. They're gods. No.
That's why they need their architect, which gets back to
Oh.
our architect.
Why did
Best death in the
Why
movie.
did Horace? Okay, so
His name's Horace, right?
at the end of the
The
movie,
The architect is
No,
Ursha.
that's the protagonist.
yeah,
No.
Horace is
Yeah.
Jamie Lannister.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Jamie
Ursha
Lannister,
is the architect.
Jamie, and I
Horace.
like that actor as well. What's his name?
Rufus Sewell.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was great.
He's great.
no one would ever fuck someone named Horace, ever.
Really?
I want to say.
Oh, man.
If
Really?
this was a radio play version, people would
But
be.
Horace, the root word in that is whore.
Oh, right, you're right.
Pretty slutty.
Like I'll say this: like if you're a Horace and you're a fan of the show, we don't. Erin does not speak for us.
No.
Right.
You know, I would totally fuck a
Come at
Horace.
me.
So would I.
Come at me, bro.
And just so you know, I don't want to offend anyone.
I don't want to put horses on blast here.
Egyptian religion. It is the most significant deities in their culture.
Ooh, boy.
yeah. But
So just so
come
you
at
know,
me. Come at me, Greek nerds.
No, not Greek.
Not
nerds.
Greek.
What?
Greek what?
Egyptian nerds.
Anybody. I don't care who you are.
Doubling down.
When at the end of the movie, Horace and Baby John Bon Jovi are going up with Rufus Sewell, the architect, up the elevator in the tower that is the tallest tower, and they're on the elevator. Why is there an elevator? Come on, that would not happen. Okay, regardless, here they are, and then Jamie Lannister is like, you know what? I'm going to jump out the window and climb up the front of this building rather than continue to take this elevator up. Why?
Can I ask you a question
Why-
about
no,
that
why?
scene?
Why does he
I have
climb
no
up the
answer.
front of the building?
Yeah, it
they're
doesn't make
in
any
an
sense.
elevator going to the top.
Yeah.
What's up?
But, well, this is why I'm confused about that scene, and maybe this will answer it or be more confusing. So they're in the elevator with the architect. Is the architect helping them, and why?
I think he's under hostage.
Yes, I think they're holding him hostage.
Okay. So, but he's okay. All right, fine. The whole thing,
Right,
and
but
then
because then he says, I'm ready to die.
But then he also says he's like, well, because I was confused because they're like, take us to whatever the top penthouse, please,
Yeah.
and then they're on the way up. The architect is like, this building boasts 15,000 feet of stone. And I was like, we're on House Hunters International.
Oh, well, he's just proud. He's proud of his work. He's the
you-
master
Well, by the
builder.
way, one of my favorite things, it's not a joke, but I just love the specific that he had a desk and he has like all these scrolls all over
yeah.
his desk. He's like, oh, the scrolls smell like
Blueprints.
I just like that he'd be like, oh, sit down, got all these scrolls, just like going through
So
scrolls.
good.
Just like, and I get that he has a room full of scrolls. And then also, they look at the blueprint, and the blueprint is.
Bananas.
The blueprint is like cave drawing.
No, it's like hieroglyphics.
Hieroglyphics.
It's all hieroglyphics.
It's hieroglyphics, and they're like, "Oh, look at this, great design."
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and this is bridge
Oh,
is
there's
gonna
a
have
trap
some jaws.
here.
And
Yeah.
it's like, and you're looking at this nonsense. I mean, not nonsense, but it's like they're reading hieroglyphics as if.
As if it's like just casual speak.
Yeah.
And they are like slaves who would never know how to
Never
read.
know how to do that.
Well, by the way, I think the one part of the movie I really wanted to see was
When that girl puts on that green dress that he steals for her at the beginning of the movie, and this girl, the woman is beautiful, but she puts on the green dress, and it's as if the green dress in ancient Egypt, that is for sale like in a street store has like a built-in push-up bra.
Yeah.
Like
that was crazy.
It is like a red carpet dress.
Tits
Dude,
up
they
all
built the
down.
pyramids and they also built up these
Built
brass.
those pyramids, if you know what I'm talking about.
You know, the Egyptians did invent the bra.
Really?
That
Oh,
is
really?
a real thing. Yeah.
So maybe you're wrong.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
It's
that's
the
what they're
only-
trying to get at.
It's the only thing they got factually correct in this whole movie.
Is
But I
those
felt-
tits were high
Lift it
and
up.
tight.
I do feel like the movie did have an element of someone sitting behind the camera going like, sick. Sick. That's fucking sick.
Oh, you know
bro.
what? Oh, yeah. Or them coming to them and be like, okay, so you guys are going to get up on this thing. And then what you're not seeing is that you guys are in a flying chariot that is being carried by giant bugs. Wait, what? Okay. So there's flying giant bugs. And so you're flying those instead of like horses or something. But it's a chariot, but with flying bugs.
And remember, you're always looking a little bit up because
Yeah.
he's 9 to 25.
Oh, and remember, talk a little loud because like the ambient wind noise would be there.
But I think that this director, because he's done some cool stuff. He did The Crow and he did
Alex
Dark City.
Proyas.
Yeah, he's done some interesting stuff. I feel like he got everyone on board because no one
Sure.
seems self-conscious about getting on a chariot run by scarabs and like hitting them like you would hit like horses. Like
When you bring him up, the fact, this is why I said Greek earlier, he's a Greek guy born, he's born of Greek parents in Egypt.
Wait, which
really?
character?
He
Alex
grew up,
Proyas?
The director.
grew
Oh,
up
really?
in
Oh, wow.
Egypt. So the fact that,
This
and
is his story.
I guess that he and the producers apologized as
Yes,
a
for the-
preemptive
yes.
thing for all the whitewashing, which, I mean, honestly, that's what made me super bummed out was this guy lived in Egypt and was like on board for this casting.
Well, it's
like,
also like it's funny when people go, "Yeah, I didn't really think about it. We're thinking about
You can't-
Yeah, like
You can't make a $140 million movie though without
Without white people?
without a white
Without
cast.
even,
That is
like-
like the craziness of it.
but without like thinking like, huh, I got one guy in there that's black. I guess
No, the reality is like they should just not make this movie.
yeah,
But
You know what I
also,
mean?
also, I feel like for Game of Thrones, Jaime Lannister, he's not a box office. That it seems like
Right.
it
No.
was such a conscious choice to be like, well, this guy probably will bring in what $500. I don't know.
No, I tell you this. I had a meeting, a Hollywood meeting.
Oh,
is it on Sunset or Hollywood?
Welcome to Hollywood Corner with Paul Sheehan.
Here you go, guys. Real facts. Real
How did this
truth.
get made? Hollywood Corner.
Right up for you. Here you go. I remember I was in this meeting and they had this like a binder with all the actors that they wanted to work with and who they thought were going to be doing TV really soon. And the list was ridiculous. Like the people they thought were going to be edging into TV have had gigantic movies in the last year. So it's like that's how far off. But the last page of this like pamphlet of all their actors was a picture of the cast of Game of Thrones. And at the top, it was like, we want to work with any of these people.
Wow.
And it was like, and that was their mandate. Any of these people. And I think that is the mentality.
Okay.
It's like, yes.
Yeah.
Every Game of Thrones person
Badass.
is in
Yes.
this.
Well, that's why
coming
you're
to
seeing.
this.
I just saw Ghost the dire wolf in an episode of Modern Family.
Deep cut.
Those dire wolves are working constantly.
But to be fair, the dire wolf
Is that
was
a real
doing
name
comedy.
of the direwolf?
Of course.
Oh, Ghost? Whose was he?
Ghost is Jon Snow's direwolf.
Yeah, he was.
Summer.
But he did Groundlings.
Yeah,
and
that's
he
true.
and he had a comedy background. He got into
Yes.
this, so it's easy for him.
No,
to do that.
it makes more. Actually, he made more sense.
And isn't he lucky that he can do both?
Oh,
comedy
yeah.
and
so
drama. Not everyone
lucky.
can do that. Comedy's
So
hard, so
lucky.
not
Yeah,
everyone can do
you
that.
can't always fluctuate.
Oh yeah, that's what I love, and I love that thing. Like you've got your Thoros of Mir. Like I want to see that guy pop up in an episode of like Better Call Saul.
Absolutely.
Like with Jaime Lannister, this is the question I have. Will anybody recognize anyone from Game of Thrones in regular clothes? Because Jaime Lannister at least looks like his Game of Thrones character in this.
Yes, he does. That's the thing is, I
Except
feel like
he's shirtless, which is like, hey, guess what we got?
yeah.
Oh, and by the way, he worked out so hard. I noticed in one part of that movie, I read one thing online that he got down to 7% body fat. So when you do that, your muscles are insane. And he was wearing some sort of bodice that looked like he had
Elvis robe?
Yeah. Oh no, that was at the end.
No,
Is there one that had the
talking about.
metal?
Yeah, where it looked like
Did he had like pendulous breasts?
Yeah, he looked like he had breasts. They were just like Blanca. I was like, wow, I've never seen like male breasts like
Male
that.
cleavage?
Yeah, it was like
Every time I watch these movies, one of the first things that pops into my head is always the diets of like and how miserable they must have been.
Especially on the days where they're shooting the fully like topless, like chest out, ripped.
They're
and
not-
what a
that- by the
shitty
way-
week they've had.
Oh, yeah.
they have
It's
to
an
like
eating
pound
disorder.
water. Yeah, 'cause
it's
you
a
have to-
male eating disorder. That shit that they
you
have
have to
go through.
pound water and then like you got to get it all out and then you got like basically like 4 minutes to
soda.
get it.
The fact that he went through a very depressing thing, which is that he lost his eyes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's in a cave for a long time. And,
great
but he's,
cave.
A year.
I mean,
great,
like,
a really
nice
By the
setup.
way, not a bad deal. Like,
No.
all right.
I would have been happy with that.
Yeah, and it seems
It's
to be that they were
chaos
bringing
out
like
there.
Guys,
they
like
were bringing-
25 feet tall, and
Where-
like people
but-
bring me tributes.
Yeah, but
One
where
was,
are
like,
the-
was he like were tribute sex? Is that because he's like, oh,
Yeah.
no more tributes? Like he's like living a pretty
The best
good
life.
life.
Yeah.
But where are the free weights?
He's just doing.
Where is it like
Don't- they don't-
Linda
gods
Hamilton
don't-
style?
gods
Push up,
don't need-
push up on the crypts, you know.
Gods
just like,
don't
There's
need
no
to
such
work
thing
out.
as an out of shape.
They don't
God.
work out. They're
That's the
just-
thing I thought too. I was like, he's been in that cave all this time, and he's like, he pops one eye back in, and he's ready to fight.
Yeah.
And I was like, wouldn't you be like fat and out of shape at this point?
That I would have liked to have seen that scene.
Yeah.
Of him having
Now
to
he's
do
a
a Rocky
slob.
style. Yeah.
Am I gonna ask a question that reveals how stupid I am? But I will. Like he said, he doesn't have all of his power, but he didn't seem to lose any power. Like he like
What it was without two eyes. He was trying to say without two eyes, he couldn't fly well.
but he does.
Ish.
But doesn't
remember
he
when they crash land?
Oh wow,
You know,
that's
it's like that. I
But
think.
I thought at that point that was because Raw had given him some kind of like booster shot or something.
Like yeah,
Like he had a B12 shot, but
and
then
they
it ran
kind of
out.
don't, and they don't
Oh,
kind of
maybe.
show it either. He's like, "Can I get that? Can I take some of this water?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "Gotta get back out there." I don't.
No, he does take the water. He wants the
yeah.
water to
Oh.
put out the fire, not to drink.
Oh, okay,
The
right.
water is to put out the
Yes,
fire,
right.
which they then don't do.
I
I
fell
know,
asleep
that
a
was
couple
And it's
times.
not
that
even
was-
important. He's carrying this water vial around that he gets water from
Because-
Ra's Sun Ocean.
That
I
was
feel like a
disappointing
crazy
because I
Space
actually
is
did want
water.
to see.
Space is water.
Right.
That's what this movie posits, is that space is full of water.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing I was going to say
Perfect.
about him.
Does it make the worm a fish?
Well, I mean, then so that's a well.
I mean, right?
I get eel.
Yeah.
It would be an eel.
The fact that he doesn't, we are not clear about what his powers are exactly. And at the end, I still have questions on, because there's a part where John Bon Jovi's like falling off that big obelisk or whatever, and then he goes to rescue him, and he turns.
Jamie Lannister does.
Jamie Lannister goes to rescue him, and he turns into the Iron Bird from all the Journey albums, and then he grabs him, and he's like, "Oh, I thought you couldn't fly," and he's like, "I guess I had it in me this whole time."
I just needed to choose
Which is
other
such-
people, not myself.
But that's just such bullshit because then that defeats the other thing where he's like, when the other guy, when Gerard Butler takes like the 3 parts and like kind of Tin Mans himself, is like, I'm put your brain in and your eye and whatever and your
Yeah.
heart. He's like really strong.
And that's the
So,
thing
like,
is they keep saying in order to beat Set, we have to like extinguish his fire with the space water. They don't extinguish the fire, so the fire is always burning. Plus, Set also makes himself much stronger by putting in the brain, wings, eye of other gods, which make him almost undefeatable. And Jamie Lannister is just like bang, 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 ha ha ha, I win.
I know. That's right. It was the
By ripping his wings off. That's all he does, right?
He rips
I
his
don't
wings
remember.
off. He rips the
brain out.
brain
By the way,
out.
that fight sequence is like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like,
Too
yeah,
long.
And also,
so
it's
long.
when it's the 2 actors fighting, it looks so lazy.
so terrible.
Like they don't, they weren't trained well, or they weren't up to it, or
well,
something.
It feels like they may have had training and then they put on these like very heavy
That's what
costumes and it's like it just looks lethargic and like I'm like I don't know what happened.
I don't
there.
either. It did not
Did you
look good,
guys
though.
laugh
And it's- yeah.
when there was the moment where Jamie Lannister, I don't remember what happened, but he had his wings off or something happened where he landed like Iron Man? Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. He's like boom,
Yeah.
I also liked when Gerard Butler told the girlfriend that he was like going to go see his wife, and she was like, "But that's your wife. What are you going to do with her?" He's like, "What are wives for? I'm going to kill her." And it was like, what was that logic?
Yeah.
I loved that line.
The male-female relationships in this movie left a lot to be desired.
Well, the
Sure.
fact that Jamie Lannister's wife or girlfriend then got involved with Seth out of like
love that
necessity. I'm not going to back down
I'm
on
glad,
Seth.
yeah.
Out of necessity, and then she makes jokes about how she's actually his enemy, but then she turns out she is his enemy, but he puts up with her anyway.
She's also, when she meets baby John Bon Jovi, she becomes obsessed with the fact that he's in love.
Yeah.
This movie exists in a world in which the gods are mostly obsessed with just whether or not people are in love.
Yeah.
Like,
But
in,
that's
in true love.
But that's like kind of like one of those weirdo things. I feel like gods are these like voyeurs. They're like the people like watching people fuck. Like I feel like
like the
ooh,
gods
yeah.
in Hercules in New York.
Yeah,
like
they're just always like trying to figure out what love is because I think they don't experience it. It's the one thing
gods
that they
don't experience love?
I don't think they do. I think a god.
What about the god of love? What about the goddess of love?
Because they're
She
just
was
giving
the-
people love. Yeah.
Yeah, and,
oh yeah, she.
What about the
she was
gangster?
goddess.
What about the
goddess of love.
gangster of love, Steve Miller?
Well, that he's also Greek.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's identified.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, it's Zeus, Apollo, Steve Miller, Aphrodite.
Only some call him the gangster of love. though. That's not a unanimous.
Some people just call him Maurice.
That's just
Guys,
All
some
true.
people just call him Maurice.
that was my favorite tangent.
I want someone to make a picture of like Steve Miller in like these outfits, like just superimpose his head on like a.
He deserves that. I think he'd like this movie.
Oh, I think it's Steve Miller. It's his #1 movie of 2016.
Definitely.
He
This
was
and
all
Secret
over
Life of
domestic
Pets.
sales.
I like Secret Life of Pets. I liked Gods of Egypt.
I can't believe
and
it
Mr.
came out
Robot.
this
Is that a
year.
movie? No,
Yeah.
Steve. That's a TV show. I like Mr. Robot.
I still can't believe it came out this year. It's so.
It's so great.
That is shocking.
I know.
By the way, did I just oh, sorry, I'm forgetting his name right now. Not Osiris? Who is the god of light? Oh, Geoffrey Rush. Did he get slimed? Like, cause like when Gerard Butler is like shooting at him, it's like he's being covered in like, blah, like
It's like lava. It's the sun.
Okay.
It's like I think that spear shoots the sun.
Okay, so he's just getting covered in
And
sunlight.
why couldn't they bring back the king to life? They brought everyone else
They
back.
cut him into 14 pieces.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, they cut him. That's what.
But
what.
then it's
Also, that you
literally.
could kill a god with a knife? That seemed lame too.
Well, or you can at least like Geoffrey Rush would be floating there forever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Why do they bleed gold?
Yeah,
yeah.
Not just gold paint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They like Benjamin Moore 402.
I mean,
is what they is like.
I did kind of
it's
think-
like Pantone 19. It is just
Crafter's
gold
gold.
paint.
Because it looks like it has like a liquidy base to it.
Yep.
It's when Gerard Butler is bleeding out at the end.
It
it's
looks terrible.
hilarious.
It's
so
great.
weird.
Yeah, it's
But was
bizarre.
it does do you feel like it was done in I mean, I'm going to say this in post or was it like
Welcome to Hollywood Corner.
because it did seem real like
Post
real
means
Oh, no.
when you're done with the movie, they do extra things to make sure that's no one gets it, but that's
Yeah,
what
thank you for explaining. Yeah.
I think that was just because it looked just like paint spilling out.
It's not even an important question.
No, I think they're covered in paint. I think they were like, and
Yeah.
you got golden for
So
veins.
because
Gold for veins.
this will be the practical
Sick.
effect that's going to sell the rest of the world.
Do you know that I read that 200 of the crew members
Yes.
Died.
mass suicide right after this movie? No, 200 of the crew members worked on Mad Max Fury Road. Can you imagine how disappointed they
Oh,
must have been?
wow.
Because so
Yeah.
much of that was done practically.
Yeah.
And this was none
that's
of it.
interesting.
Maybe
Yeah.
it was, I guess this came out after Mad Max. I was going to say maybe like they were like so psyched to do practical stuff. Like, we worked on this fucking thing. No, but I bet you Mad Max had
This
to
is
be
a
done.
money job for those for
Yeah.
that crew.
You're
Right, maybe
And
they were
by
just
the way,
like, it's all in
They're
a
all
room.
just standing on the side of the set going like, fuck, man, I could have done this. We just get a big rig in here. Just get...
That's true. Maybe they were relieved.
Yeah,
It was a nice
Take
vacation
break,
for
they're
them. Yeah.
Just by the crafty table, just eating like little mini carrots. Like, man, on Mad Max, we'd be here all night.
All this being said, I would like to be in this movie.
What? Really?
If they were like, hey, you want to come and like run around and throw a sword around and like whatever, I would be. I think I
Wow,
would
this
do
is,
that.
by the way, a new question we should ask at the end of every one
Yeah.
of these. Would you like to be in this
Would you
movie?
want to be in this movie?
Yes.
All right.
I would have done it for sure.
Aaron,
I would
what do you
love to be in a movie like this because I know I will never have the opportunity.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
You know,
There's also like so few stakes because there if you even listen to the dialogue, like it's literally like Bryan, you say something, and then Paul, you say something, but what you say doesn't respond to what Bryan said, and then I can come in with something exactly like totally opposite. So there's no
You could just
don't
be
have
shot
to-
separately.
They
Yeah.
did a great job acting, but you could literally
Just say a line.
take have any intention, take, or whatever. You don't have to worry about your backstory. You don't have to worry about where you're going. You can just be bananas clown style.
Well, it's almost like they made this movie in an effort to be like, oh, and also feel free to remix it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, here are the pieces. Build your own movie.
I will say I was in a movie year one, no, not to brag, but year one where
welcome to Hollywood Corner. How did this get made?
Here's the deal. Inside
Paul
scoop.
Shear's Hollywood.
And one
So
of the
you've been to a meeting and you've been in a movie.
I don't want to talk about it too much, but yes.
Aren't we doing a crossover with You Must Remember This, where we're just doing the Hollywood stories of Paul Shear's life?
Meetings, jokes
We're so
I
sorry,
told in
Kareem
meetings.
Longworth.
I can't wait to hear the
meetings
tone of
that
that episode. It's just all over the place.
But it was so much fun. It was a biblical movie, and it was so much fun to be on like those sets and be like in a toga. It was actually really cool.
Make believe 1950s.
Yeah,
Hollywood.
like there's like the
That's neat.
chariots and flower petals coming down. You know, it was just very. It is. I think that's the reason why you get these good performances, because it's like a Western too. Like they'll always be making these, big like epics, and then Westerns, because I think at the end of the day, actors are like, I'd like to put a gun on and ride.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but
it'd be
take all
fun.
that away, and all you're really doing is standing on a green stage with a lot of armor
know.
on.
Yes.
That's the problem. Like, we think it would be fun because it would be all these things, but none of it's
in
there.
this instance, it would not be. You would be in like a hangar-sized studio in a full green screen
with dots out all over your fucking body.
And what you're saying, I think the reason a lot of times it doesn't seem like people are affecting each other in scenes is because they cannot, due to the discrepancy in how big or small they're supposed to be, they can't be in scenes together. They're not actually, you're not in a two-shot, you're not actually getting baby John Bon Jovi and Jamie Lannister in the shot because the forced perspective would be wrong. You know, like you have to shoot it in a way that Jamie is gigantic and huge and little guy is little guy.
And then you could never even make eye contact. Oh,
No.
man. Well, clearly we had an opinion about this movie. There are other people out there that had a differing opinion. It is now time for Second Opinions.
The movie was a piece of shit, yet this person recommends it. Tell me what is the message? Maybe that art is subjective. I need a second opinion.
All right, these are 5-star reviews, cold from Amazon, and they are great.
I wish you could see Brian's face.
I can't wait.
This is great.
So
okay.
exciting.
So this is from Joseph L. Punasayan, and this is written March 21st, 2016, so he just saw the movie in the theater, came home, and wrote this. I've studied Egyptology, and I have to commend the scriptwriters for presenting the Egyptian pantheon very close to the mark. The human world was topographically not identical to Egypt, and the crown of the king was not the historic pharaonic crown, but the pantheon of Egypt wasn't even real anyway. I'm so tired of remakes and reboots, and it was great to see an original film that stands on its own merits. Thoth, the god of wisdom, was a real hoot. And the character development in Horus is what this film is all about. The CGI supported the plot instead of the other way around. Proyas has put J.J. Abrams to shame. Not one planet got blown up, JJA. It's impossible to make a film without detonating your franchise. Take that.
This guy was just burned by The Force Awakens somehow.
Well,
or Star Trek, and is taking it all out on this.
And this next one, that guy was. I like that he was a
first and
studied,
last name.
Oh yeah, and he studied Egyptology, and he's like, I'm on board. Like he's on board.
But then he says the two things that got wrong.
He
at the very
immediately
beginning.
says two things that got wrong, and then calls characters who
real
have no charm or funny thing about them.
Real hoots.
I will say that one of the things he says I do agree with, and even though this is not entirely a successful version of it, I also like that this is not a remake of some nonsense or a thing. This is some effort to be
We always say that. Yeah,
let's take something and make it original and find a way to execute it. It just doesn't.
The Mila Kunis movie,
Jupiter
Ascending.
Oh, Jupiter Ascending, one of my favorite Eddie Redmayne movies.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
He's
boy.
great in that. I mean, he's crazy in that.
It's good to try.
I agree.
Chewing up that scene.
Oh, I love it. Whisper, scream.
Making a meal
And
out
by
of
the
that
way,
movie.
does that in every movie, just somehow didn't get away with it there.
I do think that people like on these movies feel like they're not reined in because the director's like, we're going to do this. And he's like, and I'm going to do this. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
And also, I think that in movies like this, without any understanding of where you are or what you're doing, when it's a lot of just stuff that's going to be filled in later, you're just making a choice and kind of just going with it.
But can I say something about this? How I didn't even think this movie failed on an aesthetic level. I just was confused the whole time. And that's the script.
I kept on stopping it. I rewound it. I was like, it was hard for me to keep track of when they were in, like we said, where they were, what they were doing. And it should be essentially a simple movie to a certain thing. Like he's bribing him to get his girlfriend
and
back.
Also, maybe this is a simple-minded thing to say, but when you have that many accents working together, there is something that's like, what did they just say? What did they just? Yeah, it sounds crazy.
I felt like I feel like sometimes when I see Shakespeare.
You brag so much.
I saw some Hollywood. I saw
no longer fun.
I saw amazing actors doing Shakespeare. Both the girls from Two Broke Girls did Shakespeare, and I saw it and loved it.
Oh man,
I know.
That's how they were billed. The two girls from
I was trying to just find a weird. They're both fantastic.
Yes,
but here's what I was going to say. The idea. I always feel like when I watch Shakespeare for the first time. In the first 5 minutes, I'm like, what am I getting? And then and then it gets in. But this movie never did that click in. I was like, what? And I just never really ever found my footing after
because
that.
they make it, again, and I know we are, but immediately it's so difficult because you're like, you can't even grasp the concept that they're not brothers, that they're uncle and nephew.
Yes.
It's so hard to grasp. They don't make it easy.
But here's another review here. This one I liked because and by the way, all these reviews are like 5 paragraphs, which is a rare thing here. And this one I like because he keeps on telling you what type of movie it is.
Awesome.
From Jay Benison. And he wrote, Gods of Egypt is a fast-moving, beautiful, fun fantasy adventure set in a mythical place full of mythical gods and mortals. And if that's your cup of tea, you'll enjoy it. He then goes on to say, this movie will either amuse or annoy you depending on your taste and how pedantically serious you take your fantasies. And then at the very end, he continues by going, the dialogue is peppered with sardonic lines, ironic lines, and just plain funny one-liners. And if old-style adventure flicks are your guilty pleasure, then you won't be disappointed. So, anything
you want to feel about this movie is valid according to Jay.
These are very earnest reviews, and it's been very, these are interesting to go through.
And not stupid, really. It's not like, I liked it,
It was their thing.
They're thoughtful.
Yeah. These next two are my favorites. Here we go. This is from Nostrum. He goes like this. Truly one of the most creative interpretations of Egyptian mythology ever filmed, starting with Gerard Butler as King Leonidas of Sparta, rushed in to play a bearded Set. The clever use of the talented actor playing Odin playing Horus, the lack of anyone looking remotely Egyptian. But then, what do we know? Egyptian was 1,000 years ago. Sadly, one of my favorite actors was stuck playing Ursha. I weighed him, I measured him, and I found him wanting. I like Beck. From his looks and style, he would have been an excellent Anglo-Saxon peasant. Maybe he thought he was playing one. Great special effects. Yes, I say that. Used to enhance the story rather than for their own sake. And last, attractive women. 5 stars.
I want to fuck that guy.
5 stars.
He hit all the buttons.
I love it. Swedish guy typed it all out, put it in free translator.
Yeah, maybe.
Then posted that.
Well, I also think you're right. He got something totally wrong here, which is also, first of all, he said that that Gerard Butler was rushed from the set of 300, which was many years ago. So it was a slower rush. And then also that the Swedish actor playing Odin, playing Horus.
Maybe Nikolai Coster-Waldau played Odin in something else.
Yeah, something Swedish.
Yeah.
Oh, no. And finally, we end on this.
I hope it's a detective show like Law and Order.
I bet it is.
This is
Odin's Beat.
This is from Donnie Stevenson, and he challenges you to look it up because he goes, I'm a combat veteran and former Special Forces soldier, so it's just not toothless morons that seek entertainment like this. Shove your Citizen Kane shit, because that's boring.
Whoa.
I had a great time watching Gods of Egypt. Sure, it's English white guys. Sure, it's got absolutely no basis in reality or even mythology, but it's fun. Imaginative images, monsters, magic, sights, fights, and thrills. Plus, they sold it. The actors did not break the immersion, and that's good enough for me.
Wait, the actors
5
did not
stars.
I
break
get
the immersion?
$100 that guy was asleep after the first hour.
But also, break the immersion. What movie have you ever watched where it's like, I don't know.
Were they looking at the camera? I see you there, combat veteran.
Look down the barrel. I don't know.
I also, don't bring up your military history as a reason for us to be on your side for everything you're about to say.
Yeah, I mean, I
thank
get
you for
it.
your service.
But also thank you for your service.
And
Yeah, thank you for your service,
My dad's a
Donnie.
Vietnam vet. He doesn't start out every sentence with that.
Well, by the way, being a Vietnam
I
vet
do.
has not like. But by the way, that would be like if he reviewed a film maybe about war. He's like, hey, look, I saw this, and I see what they were doing here.
Sure.
This is a movie like you could be anyone.
Fantasy
you could be
film.
a child. Yeah, it's like not like it's like not like.
I was robbed at gunpoint, and I like this movie.
So that's what they had to say. Well, I guess we'll just go around real quick and say, would you recommend this movie, Jason?
I don't,
Oh, you seem like you're struggling here. I thought you would easily say no.
Yeah, this is a pretty big no for me. I would maybe watch 20 minutes of it just to see what we're talking about. Just to get a lay of the land.
And actually on YouTube, you can watch a lot of the clips of the film. Kind of the best
do that.
parts.
I would
Yeah,
do
you
that.
can-
I would not watch because it is just unfathomably long. I remember
really
being
is.
like, this literally happened. I was watching and I was like, okay, I must be at least near the end. I looked, I was 40 minutes in.
I
That's
paused
exactly what I
it so
did.
many times.
At a
40 minutes.
At a certain part, they literally, like, the end of the movie happens, like, they defeat Gerard Butler, and I'm like, 20 more minutes?
Yeah.
And then the last shot is 3 minutes of him flying, like, and water gets on the camera.
Yes.
Oh,
He flies around like his metal bird character, Jamie Lannister does, and like we're all like gonna be rapt to watch him fly around.
That extra 3 minutes was probably cost like $50,000 or $75,000.
At least.
And unnecessary.
I would recommend this for clips, and I think it's a good Sunday hangover kind of. I like that.
Yeah, I
part
feel
of
like
it.
it's like if like Jason mistakenly did, if you catch it on HBO, stay around for like 15, 20 minutes.
And you
totally.
watched a handful of it, I think you'd be like, oh, I get what
I
this
actually think the
is.
first 15 minutes is worth seeing.
I agree. I think, because that was where it was the most. I at least understood what was going on. And then after that, because if you tune in, you may be like, well, I don't know what's happening. Just rest assured, no, I don't think anyone really does.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so that was, it's no audience, guys. I'm going to say no on this one either.
What do you
say?
Yeah.
I have a very specific situation in which you should watch this. On the airplane, you've seen every other movie that's on demand, and you have work to do.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a background movie.
I think it's a background.
By the way, I think you're right.
Because otherwise, giving it full attention, I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
No, I was watching it with Wikipedia at certain points because I was like, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding what's happening because I couldn't tell if I was overtired. And I was like, am I not getting it? So Wikipedia was like, sometimes I watch Game of Thrones like that too. Just kind of reading along to kind of see where I was at.
Totally. Oh, yeah, I'll do that.
Thank you guys so much for listening. And a big thanks to everyone who makes this show possible. I'm talking about Avril Halley, who pulls all these amazing clips. Nate Kiley does all of our research. Marissa Zeitz, who kind of produces this whole thing behind the scenes. Our engineer, Sam. Everybody at Earwolf, July. And you. Bye-bye.
This has been an Earwolf production, executive produced by Scott Ackerman, Adam Sachs, and Chris Bannon. For more information and content, visit earwolf.com.